Larissa's POV.
Letting you go is the biggest mistake I've ever made, and I regret it every single day. I love you, I've always loved you, Larissa. I know it may not seem like it, but I haven't been the same since you left. It's like you took a part of me with you, and I wished and prayed to the moon goddess to help me find you. My vision was blurred through my tears, but I watched as Stefan walked forward and got down on one knee. I love you so much, Larissa. And I'll do anything to make you believe my intentions are true. Anything to make you forgive me and believe that I regret everything. He took my hand and slowly brought his lips to it in a soft kiss. Come home with me. Token Moon misses you. I miss you. Let me love you, and I promise to make up for everything I did. We can be happy again, I know it. His eyes were glazed over when he finished, and the trembling of his lips he tried hard to hide was not lost on me. For a few moments, I said nothing. I just stared back at him. I stared back at the man I had once loved with such great intensity. I remembered how excited I had been to be getting married to him. I had felt like the luckiest girl alive, like all my dreams were about to come true. And I desperately believed that. But then everything came crashing down on me like a hurricane. All my hopes and dreams vanishing into thin air. And with that shove to reality came the worst days of my life. As I stared at Stefan now, I did not envision the man I had once loved. I only saw the man who lacked such faith in me that he believed I could lie and cheat. I saw the man who lay with my stepsister in the room next to me on our wedding night. I only saw the man who publicly divorced me and arranged to have me sold. And that man was not someone I wanted anything to do with. I had never envisioned Stefan bringing himself to a point where he would apologize to me for everything he'd done. And I never envisioned how I would feel about it. But right now it was happening. I should have felt triumphant, or at least a shred of contentment that he was begging for forgiveness. But as I stared at the sick man in front of me, I felt absolutely nothing. And it was the most freeing thing I had ever experienced. Admittedly, when I first set eyes on him after so many months, I wanted nothing more than to jump at him and claw his eyes out. I wanted to rave and scream and hurt him until the hole in my chest was less painful. I wanted to hurt him as much as he had hurt me. I wanted to have him thrown out, and only seconds ago, I probably would have been glad to see him dead. But, watching Stefan now, I realized how much of an empty man he was, and I wondered why I'd ever been scared of him. His apology should have meant something, but it didn't. And I knew he was only here because he needed to renew our mate bond. And now I thought about it, it was just like him, shallow. But all the same, I did not want to keep carrying this resentment I had for him. All it had done was break me and hurt me. No. I finally said. Stefan stared at me, eyes wide. What? No, I repeated. I gently pulled my hand out of his. Token Moon isn't my home, it has never been. As I said the words, I realized how true they were. After I escaped, I had spent so long yearning for home, but I never had a home there, not with you. Stefan shook his head, but before he could say another word, I stopped him. I used to think the worst thing that could ever happen to me was not being loved by you, and when it did happen, I thought it was terrible, like the world had come to an end. But in truth it was actually a blessing, because if that never happened I would never have met Caden. My chest was beginning to swell with emotions, and I could feel my eyes fill up with tears, but I kept going. Meeting him was the best thing that ever happened to me, and I wouldn't change a single thing. He loves me unconditionally. He loves every single thing about me, and even when I'm not doing anything right, he still finds a way to love me despite that. And I love him too. Loving him is like breathing for me, effortless. He makes it so easy, and I cannot think of a single reason why I would ever leave him. Larissa, I know that. I shook my head. I sympathize with you for everything you are going through, Stefan. Losing your wife and living in uncertainty with this disease, it must be very difficult. I also accept your apology, and I forgive you for everything. It's hard, trying to dissociate the man you were from the man in front of me today, but I don't want to keep living with this anger and hatred. So, I forgive you. But I will not be coming with you. Absolutely nothing in this world could make me leave this man. He is the love of my life, and the man of my dreams, and I love him so much it hurts. As Stefan continued to stare at me with the broken look in his eyes, I took a deep breath. Good luck. And I hope you find a cure for your illness. But that cure isn't me. The burning relief in my chest spread through my body as I finally turned away from him. I knew I had just gotten the closure I needed, and for the first time I felt light and content, just like it was meant to be.
Cadence POV.
My chest swelled with pride as I watched Larissa turn away from the bastard that was her ex-husband. Immediately, I walked down the stairs to meet her. I could hardly put in words how proud I was of her. When the guard informed me that a man was here to see Larissa, I could feel her discomfort through the mate bond, and I immediately ran out to meet her. One look at the bastard told me all I needed to know. He was her ex. The idiot foolish enough to ruin a relationship with Larissa. Anger pumped through my veins at the sight of him, and I would have loved nothing more than to beat him up for trespassing and have him thrown out, but Larissa had stopped me. Larissa had done a lot of things today. And with the week she just had, I was unsure how she would handle it. I was stunned at first to see her seething. I had never seen her so angry before, and it was a little scary. So, when she told me to let the bastard be, I was worried about her, although I secretly hoped she would bash his face up so I could have an excuse to join in. But again, Larissa proved just how strong she was. She was able to call him out on his bullshit and refuse him without losing her marbles. How could she be so mature? I wondered. It takes a lot of strength to even listen to someone who had made your life miserable, but she had done it effortlessly. As I listened to the words she said to him, I wanted to pull her to me and give her a big hug. She was so precious. Too precious to be going through this kind of pain. Come here, I whispered as I approached her. She walked into my arms and I gave her the hug I'd been wanting to. I kissed her forehead and leaned down to her ear. I'm so proud of you. She hugged me even tighter and I breathed in her scent, never wanting to let go. But then my eyes met his. The bastard. He was staring at us, his eyes filled with jealousy. 1 second, I said to Larissa, letting her go and approaching him. You heard her, I spat.
Get the fuck out!
He stared from me to Larissa, and I watched as he tried to say something. I gripped him hard by the collar before he could say anything. You really don't learn your lesson, do you? Well, I am not as patient as my wife. He struggled futilely as I dragged him down and towards the gate. The guards had already pulled the gates open. I shoved him out. Go back to whatever hellhole you came from. The guards shut the gates in his face and I made my way back to Larissa, who was still standing and waiting for me. She laid her head on my chest as I reached in for another hug. Are you okay? I asked, caressing her shoulders. She nodded, mumbling into my shirt. Why don't you go up to my chambers and wait for me? I'll be there in a second, all right? She nodded and I kissed her again before I watched her walk inside the mansion. I immediately summoned the Gemini and waited for them to arrive. I paced round the premises, deep in thought. If I didn't do what was on my mind right now, I would not be able to rest. I pulled the Gemini to one side when they arrived. I'm guessing you both know what just happened. They nodded. That was the Luna's ex-husband? What on earth was he doing here? Fuck, if I know. I need you both to do something for me. Anything, Alpha. That guy, Stefan, that's what she called him. There's something off about him. I just can't put my finger on it. My wolf sensed it even before I knew who he was. He gave a darn good apology, but there's something so sneaky and pretentious about him. I need you to tail him. Find out more about him and report back to me. They nodded. Yes, Alpha. Will do. Good. Also, Larissa should never find out about this. Understood? They both agreed and I dismissed them and walked back to my room. Larissa was laying on the bed when I walked in. I scooted over to her and planted a light kiss on her forehead. How are you doing, baby? She shrugged. Better than I thought I would, honestly. I still can't believe he was here. Our exes are appearing out of nowhere. It's a nightmare. I rubbed her shoulders sympathetically. Well, you handled it perfectly. I don't know if I'd have been so mature about it. Although, at first, I was scared you were going to kill him. For the first time in days, Larissa laughed. I could not hold back the smile that broke out on my lips. He's in the past, she said. He doesn't deserve any of my tears, he never did. That's my girl. I snaked an arm around her waist and pulled her to me. And for the first time since the wedding, we kissed passionately. Hungrily. I could not get enough of her. Soon she was on my lap as I continued to ravish her with my lips. I bit her bottom lip gently, suckling on it until she let out a moan. My cock throbbed. My fingers sought out her breasts through the fabric of her dress and I pulled at buttons until they spilled free. Sighing contentedly, I cupped one breast in my palm and kissed it hungrily. I ran my thumb over her nipple until it was swollen and erect. And then I popped it in my mouth. Oh, yes. Larissa moaned, throwing her head back as she pushed hard against me. Her fingers tangled in my hair while her other hand focused on unbuttoning my shirt. She was at the last button when we heard the knock. I gritted my teeth in annoyance. Who is it? I growled. It had been a while since I was intimate with Issa, and I didn't want anyone ruining this moment. There is someone outside for you, Alpha. Larissa and I exchanged looks, and we got off each other and began to straighten our clothes. Come in, I ordered once we were done. A shaky servant walked in. Sorry for the intrusion, sir, ma'am. But there's someone here for you. Who? The servant looked uncomfortable as she picked at her fingernails. It's, Miss Amaya. She says she's here to see her son. I jumped from the bed as though struck by lightning, rage bursting through my body. That bitch was here. Why? I'm going to teach her a lesson. I growled. I was fed up with this drama. Caden. Stop, please, Larissa called out as I made to leave the room. I turned around, my chest still heaving. Let it go. This is exactly what she wants. She's doing this to anger you, and if you go out there now, you'll be giving her exactly what she wants. I stopped. She was right. Tell her the Alpha is not accepting any visitors currently, Larissa said to the servant. If she resists, have the guards show her out. The servant nodded and walked out. I sat by Larissa's side, our fingers intertwined as we both got lost in our thoughts. The mention of Amaya had killed the mood and left a sour taste in my mouth. I just wanted her gone. I had to take care of this whole thing before it ends up tearing my family apart.
Stefan's POV.
That fucking bastard. I was shaking with fury, my hands clenched into fists as I stood outside this tacky, godforsaken mansion. It was a sore sight to the eyes, and the one I had built was every inch more luxurious. For a second I contemplated going back in there and teaching that son of a bitch a lesson. How dare he? He didn't know who the hell he was dealing with. I was Stefan fucking Tokenmoon, and no one in their right mind had ever dared cross me. Who the fuck did he think he was? Manhandling me like I was a nobody? And setting those foolish guards on me like a dog. I would not let him go scot-free. Never. I shut my eyes in anger as I stood, still thinking. I couldn't believe that everything I had done, all the things I had said to Larissa to gain her forgiveness, had gone to utter waste. I already hated that I had to stoop as low as begging for her forgiveness. That alone was infuriating enough, and if it wasn't for the sake of my health, I would never be caught dead pleading with anyone, especially not a woman. Why did I have to beg? I was her one and only true mate, after all, and I still am. But I knew I had to convince her somehow. So I swallowed my pride and made my way here, only to have it cut short and torn apart. Again, fury clouded my chest. I had even managed to shed a few tears. I knew deep down that I would have been able to convince her. I watched her break as I spewed those sweet, sad words, driving them straight to her heart. I was so close to succeeding. Larissa would have been on my arm right now as I walked out of this place. She had always been easy to manipulate and bend to my will. She had never had a mind of her own, right from when I knew her. So I never thought I had my work cut out for me. And I was confident I could pull it off. But, no. The presence of that fumbling fool had given her a sharp mouth and a cold heart, and I was unable to break down her walls. There were no words to describe my anger and disappointment. I had taken a hard blow today, my pride had been hurt. I was completely disregarded and disgraced by a bunch of fools I could have easily killed with one snap of my fingers. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. I spat furiously. I had spent a lot of time working out this plan. As soon as I found out I had contracted this disease, I had not had a day's rest. That bitch, Katya. The thought of her always filled me with disgust. The only thing I regretted was that she died of that disease. She should be glad she got off that easy. I would have tortured and killed her with my bare hands. A slow, painful death was exactly what she deserved. And because of her I had spent weeks searching for a cure. I was too much of a force to be reckoned with to die a shameful death. Death by a sexual disease from my cheating wife was an appalling and disgraceful way to die. That was why I sent my guards off to find Larissa as soon as the healer told me what I needed to do. I knew she would not be keen on returning to me. But I'd always known how to manipulate her, so I wasn't worried at all. I paused in my pacing as something came to mind. I received no information about this whatsoever from the surveillance I'd set here. I had no clue Larissa was remarried. I clearly remembered my spies telling me she was a serving girl at this pack and nothing more. It would have been much easier that way. I could have been in and out completely undetected. But of course, they had given me the wrong information. Those incompetent fools. I would deal with them when I got back. I hissed loudly in annoyance, punching at the first thing my hand came in contact with, which happened to be the brick wall. The impact made it shatter, leaving a large hole in place. My chest continued to heave as I paced around angrily. I wanted to bash that asshole's face in. Beat him to a pulp until he died on the spot. And there was his name too. Caden Griffin. A name I had known for years, but without a face to it. The man I had spent years strategizing about in a bid to dethrone him. Alpha of Griffinhowl Pack, the biggest and most powerful pack in the werewolf realm. That title I was keen to secure for myself and Token Moon, which was why I had begun to unleash my men onto the smaller packs in his territory. Packs he bore the responsibility to protect. I wanted to knock him hard at the knees, weaken him from every side, and then when I was ready to infiltrate Griffinhowl, he would be too busy making plans to notice. And I would destroy him and take over every single thing he owned. It was why I had sent enemies against him several times in the last few months. It was why I'd had him ambushed. It was why I'd sent a spy to rattle him by making it clear I had eyes on his entire family, especially that little boy of his. I wanted to scare him, make him fear me. From the looks of things it was working, and this plan was still underway. But, not once did I ever suspect that Larissa had taken refuge with Griffinhowl. Nor did I have a clue about their apparent relationship. And now that it had all come to light, it was an even bigger reason to destroy the bastard. As soon as he introduced himself to me in there, I had the sudden urge to jump at him and be done with him on the spot. But I reasoned that it would ruin the fun. Plus, I was outnumbered. So I waited. And now everything had fallen apart because of him. I could not let this slide, no way. He had openly embarrassed me in front of those measly guards and in front of Larissa. I couldn't have that. He must have taken me for an utter weakling, a fool who came back crawling to beg for Larissa's forgiveness. Again, I felt shame crowd my chest. If not for the fact that I was trying to keep up appearances in front of Larissa, I would have dealt him with a blow he'd never forget. But there was nothing I could do about it now. It was done. I just had to find another way. I had tried the easy way, warming up to Larissa to get her to come back. Now I was going to do it the hard way. If the only way I could be cured was by mating with her, then I would do exactly that. Whether she wanted to or not. And then, I had to get Griffin out of the way, by any means necessary. And if push came to shove and it couldn't be helped, then I would do the needful. If I had to die then so be it. But I would take the bastard down with me. My lips curved into a smile as I imagined slashing my claws through his chest and tearing his organs open. A delicious chill ran down my spine. There was nothing more thrilling than brutal killing. And Caden Griffin was high up on my list. Calm now, I turned around to make my way outside. I didn't want to spend one more second in this place lest I changed my mind. I had only taken a few steps when I heard the gates behind me clang loudly. I turned around in time to see the guard shove a screaming woman out and then bang the gates in her face. I recalled seeing the woman go in earlier, but I'd been too pissed to pay attention to her. I was going to make my way out until I heard the words she was murmuring. I said, "Open up. Caden." She screamed. When there was no answer, she kicked hard at the gate, rattling it noisily. And then she whipped around furiously and marched about, murmuring, "That bastard. Keeping me away from my own son? I'll teach him a goddamn lesson." Immediately, my ears perked up. Someone who harbored the same hatred I did for Griffin at this moment? Interesting. I wondered what exactly this was about. The woman was practically steaming. I immediately wondered what I could do with this. First, I took a good look at her. Although twisted in rage, her face was quite beautiful. Young. I guess she was probably around Larissa's age. She wasn't dressed cheaply either, so I knew she could not be a servant. My thoughts raced. The only person young enough to be her son within those walls was the little boy. A sudden thought ran through my mind, and as she stormed past me, I took a wild guess. I'm guessing you're the ex-wife? She suddenly froze in place, and then whipped around, her face contorted in rage, and then she walked back to where I was standing. For your information, we are still legally married. She spat. And who the fuck do you think you are, asking me questions? Oh. It was all beginning to make sense now. I'd heard the stories of the cheating wife who had run off with Griffin's beta a few years ago. My guess was that she was back now, and probably disrupting the relationship between Griffin and Larissa. Therefore, this woman here had issues with Caden Griffin too. A common ground for us both. I wondered if I could work something out with this. Alpha Stefan Tokenmoon, I said, stretching out a hand which she did not take. I chuckled in amusement. Women like you know how to get things done. Let's chat. She only hissed in annoyance and pushed past me roughly. Do I look like I'm in the mood to get hit on? Get the fuck out of my face. I watched her walk away, tempted to snap her neck on the spot for speaking to me in that manner. But I knew I needed her for this to work. I'm Larissa's ex-husband. Once again, she froze and turned around. The tramp? She's taking every damn thing away from me. I won't let her take my son too. So she better not even dream of me granting that divorce, not until I get my money and my son, she spat. So I was right about her. She had a motive. Perfect. I could hear the anger and determination in her voice. Jealousy and greed. They were always perfect hand in hand, and I could already tell that if I played my card right, this woman would be an essential part of my plan. Why are you here? She suddenly asked, glaring suspiciously at me. This was my chance to strike the iron while it was hot. I just had to play it right. I came for her. I want her back. But just like you, I got kicked out by Griffin. What he doesn't know is that I don't back down easily. And I can tell you don't either. From the looks of things, we are in similar situations. I am not a spy, nor am I here to ridicule you. She observed me for a few moments and then she inhaled deeply. I could see her features begin to relax. The hostile look had vanished from her face and she was warming up to me. Amaya, she offered, extending her arm for a handshake. Very good. That was when I spoke again. Amaya, what if I told you there was a way for the both of us to get what we want? You get your son and your money, and I get Larissa back. You just need to be willing to work with me. Her expression was a mixture of doubt and curiosity. For a second she said nothing, and then she crossed her arms over her chest and pulled her shoulders back. I'm listening.
Larissa's POV.
She's been here every single day this week. I can't keep turning her away, especially since she still has a legal right to visit him. I turned away from Caden, shutting my eyes tightly in annoyance. Amaya had been a thorn in everyone's side with her relentless visits to the mansion and her demands to see her son. Every day Caden turned her away, and on days where she proved adamant with the guards, Caden had to go down there himself and throw her out. It always ended up in a sort of screaming match, and Amaya vowing to return the next day. It had been taking a toll on him, I could see it clearly. It was also taking a toll on me, it was taking a toll on the entire pack, Declan included. Because of her, a sort of gloom had descended over the pack, and everyone moved around, silent and listless. And it hurt me. I hated the screaming, the drama, every single thing. And I hated how it was affecting each and every one of us. Especially Declan. He was still so young, but even he could sense the difference in energy of everyone around him. He heard the screaming too. That was inevitable. He had grown quiet, no longer as vibrant as he used to be. And if care wasn't taken, this could turn to a permanent change. I didn't want Declan around any of this. And I most certainly did not want Amaya around Declan. No, I shook my head in response as I turned back to Caden. I don't want her near him, Caden. You keep referring to her as his mother, but she's not. Biologically, yes she is. But otherwise, we both know the answer to that. She is a terrible influence to have around Declan. Caden sighed deeply. Look, babe, I know. I don't want her close to him either, but it can't be helped. If I keep turning her away, she will only decide to involve the law. And we still live around the humans. You know how that will end, very badly. Please try to understand. I swallowed the lump in my throat, knowing he was right, but still unwilling to back down so easily. I get what you mean. But, surely, you can figure out a way somehow. Please. If we let her see him now, she'll start to think she can just pop in whenever she wants. She'll be here every single day, and I don't think anyone would like that. Isn't there something you can do? Anything at all? I was desperate. The thought of Amaya being a frequent visitor here was unsettling. She had already done enough damage. It would only put everyone in a bad mood. And I really did not want Declan to get involved in any sort of legal battle. Caden began to pace around the room. I watched him slowly make his way to the window and look outside where Amaya was still standing and yelling. She had been there for about an hour now, and it didn't seem like she was ready to quit anytime soon. This was just a display of the behavior she had been exhibiting this entire week. We were all tired of it. I don't know how many moments Caden stood there for, but when he turned back to me, he shook his head as though in regret. Look at her, making a scene and disturbing the peace of the entire pack. I can't let it continue, Issa. Imagine how uncomfortable everyone is feeling right now. I said nothing. He was right. He moved closer and intertwined our fingers. I know you're worried about the negative impact she might have on Declan, but you don't need to. I won't let that happen. But before anything else, I need to let her see him. She has a right to see him, and as much as I hate the idea, there's nothing I can do to stop her. I shut my eyes again, defeated. I couldn't shake the feeling I had about Amaya. She abandoned Declan once. I don't want him getting attached to her only for her to leave him again. And I wished Caden would fight harder to keep her away, but his words made sense. So I gritted my teeth and sighed. Fine. Issa. I said it's fine, Caden. Just, be careful with her. He nodded. I promise. I'll be there the whole time. Knowing her, she might try to plant some ideas in his head, but I won't let her. Okay? I nodded, and watched as he walked outside to let her in. I'd promised myself I wasn't going to get involved at all, but I couldn't help it. I walked out of my chambers and to the balcony where I had a clear view of the gates. A bitter feeling swirled in my chest as I watched Caden order the guards to let Amaya through. She stormed up to him immediately. Have you finally come to your senses? I heard her say. I told you I'm not leaving until I see him. I cut off my wolf hearing before Caden could respond. They were standing far away enough. I would rather not listen to their conversation if I could help it. Seeing her near him was already making me uncomfortable. I stood at the balcony for a few more seconds before I finally walked back to my room, my heart heavy. But that's only because it's the only one she has, you see. We've all been talking about it down at the quarters, and it's put everyone in a lighter mood. So I guess that's a good thing. I was barely listening as Gwen told me the story of what was happening at the servant quarters. It seemed to be a funny story, but I'd been zoning in and out so much I'd missed the whole point of it. But I did not say that to her. I was much too tired. I honestly just wanted to be alone. And oh, we haven't had a chance to talk about it probably, but I have a little update on the Gemini, she laughed. It's a lot of pressure being in the middle of two brothers, that's for sure. I feel really bad, but also quite awkward. One is my mate, I'm in love with the other one. I honestly don't know what to do about it at this point. You know, I didn't think it was possible, but I think I'm getting even more confused about my feelings. On one hand, I'm bound by the mate bond and attraction is inevitable. But I've also been spending time with the other brother and he is such a great person. I feel so torn and confused, Issa. What do you think about all of this? I don't know what to make of any of this. Her words were sounding perfectly in my head, but I wasn't listening enough to understand what she was saying nor give a response. I felt like I was floating in my own thoughts. A dull feeling I did not recognize was heavy and full in my chest. But I could not put a finger on exactly what it was. "Larissa?" I heard Gwen call out. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine." I shut my eyes tightly in a bid to calm myself and silence the storm in my mind, but still, thoughts of Amaya persisted. Just the thought of her name made me sick. It had been 4 days since Caden ordered the guards to let her in. 4 days since he led her to the nursery where she got to see Declan. She had stayed for 2 hours. 2 long, painful hours for me. As soon as she left, Declan appeared in my room and I spent the rest of the day with him. But the problem wasn't with that day. Yes, I had been uncomfortable with the idea, but not to the point where it would cause me to lose sleep. The problem was that ever since that day, she had continued to come over, which made it 4 days in a row. 2 hours turned to 3, and soon she was spending a minimum of 5 hours here. It was exactly as I'd predicted, her getting comfortable and settling in once again. I hated every second of it. And I hated that nothing was being done about it. Declan hadn't come to see me since the first day, and although I tried not to show it, it worried me. I worried that he would no longer see me the way he used to, like a mother figure. I knew I wasn't his biological mother, but I was so close to him that I might as well be. And the thought that he might become closer to Amaya shattered my heart into 1,000 pieces. I had never been a jealous person, but I didn't want to lose Declan, especially not to someone that would surely end up hurting him. "Are you sure?" Gwen's voice pulled me out of my thoughts again. I already said yes. My voice was sharper now. Gwen nodded and continued what she was doing. "So, you see? I feel like I'm stuck in between the both of them, Larissa. I feel like a terrible person, and I probably am, but what do I do? How do I fix it?" I shut my eyes tightly, my fists clenching by my side. As Gwen slowly brushed through my hair, she continued to speak. And speak. And ask for my opinion on the things she was bothered about. My head was throbbing, my mind racing, the world spinning. I was beginning to feel hot and irritated. Should I come out and own up to the truth? But how do I do it, Wit? "Stop it!" I grabbed the hairbrush from her forcefully. "Just stop!" Gwen looked a little surprised, and then she tried to take the brush back. "It's okay. I'm here to help you, let me help." I said it's fine. I can brush my own damn hair. And this isn't about the stupid hairbrush, Gwen. I'm tired of hearing about your problems, okay? My chest was heaving. I had no idea where that outburst had come from. I was just so tired and irritated. I just wanted to be left alone. Gwen stood behind me for a few moments, and I could see the hurt in her face. "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to annoy or bother you. I just wanted to lighten your mood with the stories. I just wanted to make you feel better." "Don't. Just leave." She nodded and walked out of the room, leaving me with my thoughts once again. I did not have the time to dwell on what happened because thoughts of Amaya resurfaced immediately. I stood from my chair and began to pace around. I didn't want her here, I didn't want her in our home. Why did it seem like everything was falling apart? I also hated the fact that Caden was doing nothing about this. I knew he had the power to stop her if he really wanted to, so why was he being so soft on her? It was a genuine question, one I had not thought of, but it was starting to bother me. When Amaya wasn't here, just the mention of her name set Caden off to the extremes. He hated her with everything he had in him. Now she was finally here, he didn't seem as bothered as I expected him to be. The feeling in my chest rose again, but this time it was bitter. Angry. What if he was going soft on her for other reasons? I wondered. They were old lovers after all. And with all the time they were spending in the same place, his feelings towards her might be changing. My heart clenched. At first I didn't mind the idea of Caden and Amaya in the same room because I knew it would prevent her from poisoning Declan's mind, but now I could not help but feel a little insecure. Shit, I sighed into my hands. I hated the direction my thoughts were going in. I knew deep down that Caden truly loved and cared for me. I knew he would never betray me like that. He would never hurt me like that. I hated doubting him, and I knew I needed to let him know. It was better than sitting here and wondering. Perhaps if he knew how much this situation bothered me, he would find a way to put an end to it. Sighing, I tied my hair up in a bun and put on my coat, then I made my way out of my chambers to go find him.